So, welcome everybody to 2022. It's a new year, and it's a new episode of the Sonic Truth Podcast. And we are blessed today to have an amazing engineer, producer from Boston at Mad Oak Studios, gentleman, Benny Grotto. Let's welcome Benny to the show.
Very kind of you, especially to call me a gentleman. Thank you.
You got it, my friend. How are things in Boston today?
They are very cold. It's about 3 degrees.
3 degrees.
3 degrees.
Oh.
Nice and warm. I was talking with Benny a little bit earlier before we did the episode, and I was explaining to him I was wearing my sweatshirt today because it was a little cold this morning in Florida, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was low 50s when we got up, maybe upper 40s. But see, Benny, it's a different type of cold, right?
Yeah. You got the ocean. Well, we got ocean air too, actually, but it's dry right now. If you hit
40 down here, it kind of feels like 25 almost. That's our excuse.
Yeah.
That's why we
only if you've lived there for a length of time and you've gotten soft.
Right.
It doesn't take long to get soft, for sure.
I know. I went to LA for a trip in November, and it was like, I was only there for about 10 days, and I came back and I was already kind of like, it's too cold here. You acclimate to the nicer weather very quickly.
Yeah, too quickly. And like you said, it does soften you up. But
my wife and I actually just literally 45 minutes ago, we just booked a trip to we're going to go to Savannah and to Charleston in March for our shared spring break. So
nice.
I'll have some brief reprieve to warmer weather.
Oh, it's going to be good times.
Yeah.
Are you into haunted houses at all?
I am.
Savannah.
Oh yeah, it's a good place.
Oh yeah,
Good spot.
Yeah, it's a great spot.
Duly noted.
Yeah,
Cool.
I mean, check it out. And there's some cool hotels.
Just in
old,
general,
historic.
yeah, it's a great town. You know.
Cool. Right
So-
on.
Good vibes. Probably good musicians down there too. Probably come across.
Yeah.
So anyway, last night, I know past couple weeks you've been working on a video for the Reverb unit, the Spring XL305R, and you've been sharing the video with us, and I watched it extensively last week in the new version you sent last night. And wow, man, amazing video, great work.
Thank you.
What plate is it that you're using in comparison to?
It is a plate from a now defunct company called Audicon, which to my understanding was owned and operated by Gene Lawson of the Lawson Microphone Company in Nashville. So the name of the plate is literally The Plate. It says The Plate in all caps on the side of it. We actually have 2 of them. And it is a just great American made, American answer to the EMT 140. It's way quieter, way lower noise floor than the EMT 140, and has a pretty significantly wider frequency response. So they're a little sparklier on top. They seem to go down a bit more into the furthest reaches of the low end, although that's not particularly useful on a plate reverb, so you end up filtering that out anyway. But it's there for some reason. You feel like using it.
Yeah, it's real thick. I've noticed that.
I remember those when they
Yes.
came out too. Yeah, great reviews back then and still now. So
Yeah.
you know.
They can be found for relatively cheap too. It's, one of them we got in a trade, and I forget what we paid for the other one, but it was not, it wasn't like you jump onto Reverb or something and you look at
It's not like an EMT.
EMTs
The prices, yeah, those prices
Exactly.
are ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing that the Reverb unit's much smaller, because how much floor space does the plate take up?
It takes up a lot. And because we have a loft actually that we put them in, so they're out of the way. Is in terms of it's extremely convenient. But yeah, they some of the studios I work at that have plates that don't have a loft, they're typically tucked into some back room, taking up a bunch of space that would otherwise be really useful for storage or whatever.
Or when they used to have central machine rooms back in
Yeah.
the day, we used to have the SSL towers and everything completely isolated in a different room on the opposite.
That's a
end of
room
the
to go to
building.
if you want to get warm. If it's a cold Boston January day, you go hang out in the machine room.
Oh yeah.
Warm you right up.
No,
Agreed.
but back to the video. Seriously, that's everything about that was just it seemed like there was nothing planned. You just started filming and it was very direct and to the point, and like you were experiencing it at the same time, it seemed like.
Yep.
Which is really cool. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like you, sometimes you watch some videos and there seems like there's a little bit of a script or something else going on with it, or it's edited and condensed down. Everything, it was entertaining from start to finish. I watched the whole thing, and
Great.
like right before I came here, and I got the impression that the unit itself is very just a great general purpose tool, which is the same impression I had when we were developing it, you know?
Right,
So
right.
I was really, really excited that came through in the video.
Yeah,
Great.
you
Yeah,
went through. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you went through each instrumentation, you know, as if, you know, the snare, the kick, the drum room, the guitars, the vocals, and you demonstrated, you know, the reverb by itself within the mix. And it's so important that you did that. And I like that you went for an extended period of time too, because too many people play it for 2 measures, cut, bypass, cut, and you can't get that feel that you would get over that extended 8 measures that you did it for. So that video, by the way, where can we watch that video? Where's that going to be available at?
Pretty soon it'll be available on my YouTube page. I'll be sharing it shortly. I guess, what was it, next Friday or so, thereabouts?
It'll be coming up this next Friday. Yeah, so we're going to
Friday,
share
yeah.
a link in the description below. You could definitely check that out. We highly recommend it if you're looking to get any further information about the Spring Reverb unit. And also, too, you know, check out Mad Oak Studios, because can you explain a little bit about, in the background in the video I checked out, you have a console. What kind of console is it that you're using?
That's an API 1608.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can't beat that.
Yeah.
And then what do you have?
You can't beat that.
What do you have for outboard gear?
Oh man, the better question is, what don't we have for outboard gear? We're wildly spoiled. One of my partners at the studio is a gear dealer, and so we just get everything. It's awesome. I mean, there's like everything that you can imagine. It's great old stuff. We have a pair of Neve 1053s, which are these like incredibly rare germanium Neve mic pre's that, you know, predate the 1066s and all that. And then we get, you know, super hip modern stuff like actually I'm looking around as I'm not at my studio right now, so I can't even look at something to to tell you what it is. We got a 1608, you know, stuff like that, you know. So it's a pretty righteous setup in there.
Gosh, I don't even think I've come across 1053s you said?
1053s, yeah. There's a whole it's like the 1050 series, like, you know, 105X. There's a few of them. Mike Beinhorn uses them a lot on like kind of famously with Soundgarden, on the Soundgarden records he did. He's like a fan of them on like guitars and drums and stuff, from my understanding.
Really?
And in fact, the legend has it that the pair we've got were used on that Soundgarden record by, like, they were owned by Beinhorn at some point. So that's pretty cool as a huge, you know, Soundgarden fan and 90s kid.
Yeah, same here. Matt Cameron on the drums. He was one of my dudes I used to love listening to growing up.
Yeah, he's a monster.
Gosh, that's great, man.
Yeah, they got their gear list is pretty extensive, like their equipment list on their website too, if you guys check it out.
Yeah.
You
You
know?
know, and some of the credits of some of the people I had a chance to review, you got, you know, the Stones, you got Aerosmith.
Yeah, that was a recent one. That was pretty wild.
Which one's that?
The Stones thing just happened in this past September.
Oh, really? How'd that come about?
Yeah. Came completely out of the blue. I actually had a cancellation that day, but I had a new intern that I wanted to train. So I went in anyhow and was just kind of showing her the ropes. And my phone rings, and it's a colleague of mine who owns another studio here in town. And he's like, hey, a buddy of mine just hit me up about a session with someone super high profile, but he's not allowed to tell me who it is. And they want to use an API. They want to mix on an API. Do you have any availability? And I was like, I do, but it was a nighttime session, and a lot of times these sessions are with like, you know, it's like some mumble rapper or like some, you know,
Come out
some
after
like
the
TikTok.
club at 3-4 in the morning, and then whenever
Exactly, yeah. And I'm too old to be in the studio that late, so I was kind of like, you know, if it's someone really cool, I'll do it. But I got to know who it is before I can commit to anything. And he's like, all right, let me see if I can put you in touch with my buddy. So I get put in touch with his buddy, and he's kind of being really dodgy, and then he gets the permission to, for the big reveal, and he's like, so it's the Rolling Stones. Do you think you can do it? And I was like, yeah,
absolutely.
Let me make some time for those guys. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
Unreal.
So they were actually rehearsing in Boston for a tour. Yeah. Fresh, young-faced.
In case you guys haven't heard of them, the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, you can check them out on Instagram at the Rolling Stones.
Yep.
They're really good. It was a cool session. It was they were rehearsing for a tour, and they had done some backing tracks, like basically like a drum and percussion loop, and they needed to have it mixed. So they actually maybe the coolest part about it was I had to get a COVID test from their traveling doctor before they would agree to come to the studio, and so I went over to their rehearsal and got to check them out practicing for about a half hour while I was waiting for the doctor to come swab me.
Oh, how cool is that?
It was very cool.
It
was excellent.
That is priceless. Yeah.
That's and awesome. totally out of the blue, just like one of those things that you think it's going to be a boring day, and then all of a sudden you're mixing a track for the Rolling Stones. Yeah. Like, okay, cool.
That's what's so great about this business too.
I was just going to say that's what's great about our job.
Yeah, you never know what's going to get thrown your way.
Honestly, don't. And gosh, that's great. And then Aerosmith, and then but you're also a musician too, right, Benny? Are you a drummer, multi-instrument?
Yeah, these days I'm pretty bad at everything because I don't practice drums enough. But drums are my first instrument, and then I play other instruments as needed, as I think probably a lot of producers listening would be familiar with. You just do what you got to do, and then you pick stuff up along the way.
Agreed. I'm a victim of that. Also,
my clients are a victim of that, is the way I like to think of it. Poor bastards.
But you're originally from Chicago, and then you moved out east. What was it, Pittsburgh you moved to?
Pittsburgh, that's right. Yeah.
So are you a Steelers fan?
I am not a sports fan of any kind.
Not a sports fan of any kind, huh?
No,
I'm with you, Benny. I'm with you, bro.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's my only passion, because I got music as my passion, right? I got my Packers mug. Sorry.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I tell you, I can't relate to sports on any level. It's a weird thing. Like, there's other things that I'm not a fan of, but I get why people are psyched about it. And there's just something about, there's nothing about sports that I can connect with, even kind of like intellectually. Yeah. So I just don't, it's just not for me.
There's once, I didn't play football. I played baseball. Nothing beyond like 10th grade in school. But what I grabbed from sports is just the equal passion and time that is an individual, because these athletes are kind of like 1099s, right? They're not really kind of employees. They're part of a brand. Right. And they're almost kind of like, as an audio engineer, there were so many times I was just so independent, and he moved around to this hot gig. I don't know. I just kind of got that from a lot of just athletes. You see them struggle. You see them put their heart and their effort into it. And then at the end of the day, sometimes they get screwed over by the system, and that's all. But I love golf. I love playing golf. Why? Because I get out of the studio for 3 or 4 hours. I'm not good at it. Yeah. And it's a challenge to hit the ball 5 football fields away in a hole. I can't do that shit. But it's fun. Yeah. Getting attacked by an alligator, getting attacked by a large ass sand crane bird. I mean, it's a challenge in nature sometimes, man. So that's the only sport that I actually physically play.
Well, yeah. I'm a terrible athlete, which is probably a large part of why I'm not interested in watching sports. I understand people who play. Like, it's fun. I used to skateboard, so
word. Okay,
yeah. So like I get wanting to do a thing, but even as a skateboarder, I'm not all that interested in watching it. It's
you got to be there. One of those things too. Like I don't like watching golf on TV. I'll watch it just to see who's winning or leading, and then I'll kick it off. Right. And I'm kind of like that with a lot of sports too. Just, it would be much better to be at the event.
Right.
So that's a good point, man.
I've had a good time going to ball games before, but it's not the baseball. It's like the $12 beers and the hot dogs that are
right. Exactly.
Rocking my world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn right. So, you have any sessions planned this weekend?
No, there's actually a freelancer at my studio. That's why I'm doing this from my house right now. I got a freelancer in for the 3-day weekend, so I'm not back over there till Tuesday.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And I know Chris has got an extended weekend coming up, don't you, buddy?
Oh yeah, we're going to California next week, just because Winter NAMM got canceled, so we just decided to make it a vacation instead of canceling the tickets.
Cool.
So yeah, we'll be out in the California.
Is that like the Audioscape crew, or is it like you and family?
For this trip, it's just me and family, and then for Spring NAMM in June, we'll be taking the whole crew out there. Or everyone that's going to help with the booth setup and that. And I know we'll be having a bigger booth this year than we have previous years, so it should be fun.
Yeah, and we're going to plan. I think they're going to try to do a live podcast from NAMM too while they're out there, so to kind of get people, to come down and be a guest and talk about their pieces of equipment as well, and just trying to help everybody out in the community. If
you're interested in coming, let me know.
When is it? What's the?
It's June. I think it's June 6th. That area for the week of that. So
I think it's the first week.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, that's actually. It's funny. I traditionally had been. I never really liked trade shows. I always found them to be a bit punishing. I don't like big crowds, and it's just like get a little overwhelmed. But at the end of 2019, I got invited to this. I guess it's convention. It's this. There's this online like audio school called Unstoppable Recording Machine, or URM for short. Mm-hmm. And I occasionally would like contribute to those guys, and got friendly with the owner, and he invited me to their conference in Vegas as like a industry guy, or whatever they call the whatever it's called. So I went to that, and it was the first time I'd gone to one of those things in like probably at least a decade, and I had a fucking blast. And so that was November of 2019, and I was like, man, maybe 2020 is going to be the year of conventions. Like I'm going to go to AES. I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to go do the whole routine. And something came up.
I forget what happened around that time.
Yeah.
What acronym?
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn it.
Here's a funny thing about the whole COVID thing is I was in China in the beginning of January of 2020.
You did it.
I was doing a gig. I had a record that I was working on in China, and I was getting these notifications from like the travel advisory being like, there's this weird pneumonia in the city of Wuhan, so you should probably try to avoid it. And like every day, the advisory would get a little bit more sort of like panicked, and like it went from being like you should probably avoid it to like basically like, get the fuck out of here.
DEFCON 5,
Yeah, and
don't leave your house for 2 weeks under any circumstance.
Well, what's funny is that I got back to the States after my gig, and within a week or two, China got like totally locked down. So if we'd have scheduled the job for a little bit later, I would have got stuck there.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, we did NAMM in January of 2020, and that was crazy. Even like just coming back, and everything started snowballing shortly after.
Yeah.
How difficult was it to get in and out of China?
It wasn't too bad. I had to get a visa because I was working. So there's like special permission you got to do, and you pay a bunch of fees and shit, and they send you like a little sticker to put in your passport. And then once you get there, you go through like it's funny. This is again, this is pre-COVID, but they like check your temperature and stuff. Like they actually do like a quick like physical on you.
Yeah.
And then my client basically picked me up and chauffeured me around Beijing the whole time I was there. So I would have been screwed without him. It was like there's not a lot of people speaking English, and all the signage is of course in Chinese. Yeah. So it's like I would have been completely helpless.
So you were in Beijing?
I was completely helpless, but
I
was in Beijing. Yeah.
Wow. How is that city?
Yeah. It's huge.
I was just
it's
is it really technically advanced?
No, Shanghai is the technically advanced one. Beijing's actually kind of a little like dated feeling. It's like kind of old, a little, at least the parts that I was in feel like older and a little bit more kind of like dingy, for lack of a better word. The client I was working with was like, a lot of times like Western tourists, when they go to China, they like to go to like Shanghai, which is like when you see pictures of like the crazy, like super modern buildings and all the neon and everything. Yeah, Shanghai. Beijing's where the government is, and it's just a little bit, I think, more kind of stodgy and old fashioned.
More traditional, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, but there is, that's where like Red Square is, or not Red Square, Tiananmen Square is, and I got to go to like the Great Wall of China, which is pretty amazing.
Wow,
There's a lot of historic
cool.
stuff there. There's like just some pretty amazing old buildings, architecture, like really ancient old stuff like that.
5,000 years on us as a society. Yeah, that's on my bucket list. You ever been to Russia?
I have. Yeah.
Damn it.
The band I used to tour with, we did a show in St. Petersburg and a show in Moscow. Funny story, actually. I gotta tell you, this is a good one. So we played in St. Petersburg first, and we basically finished the gig and it'll like rush to a train. We had an overnight train into Moscow, and so we get on the train. It's like a sleeper, you get like a sleeper car, so we're like in these bunk beds. And we arrive in Moscow the next morning, and we're getting off the train, and there's like this huge crowd of teenagers like cheering and screaming, and we're like, holy shit, like we're huge. We're huge in Moscow. This is amazing. So we're like getting off the train, like just kind of like waiting for our adoring fans to rush us and shower us with praise, and like nothing's happening. And then the next train over, the door opens and the kids start freaking out, and the band Asking Alexandria was on the train car behind us, and all the kids were there to welcome Asking Alexandria.
It's one of I can't think of what movie that it reminds me of, but what an experience, right?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Good times. Yeah, that's one. Russia's one place I definitely want to go check out. And
it's different, man. It's weird there.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Not a lot of smiling faces in Russia.
Yeah, they're very mum.
Yeah, we had this dude when we got there. The promoter sent this dude to like basically like drive us around and stuff. We had basically had the whole day to kill before the show. And he was this just fucking goon, like big, burly,
Ivan,
totally sketchy dude. And I was in this band I was in is called Slapshot. It's like this old Boston hardcore band. I stuck out like a sore thumb because I'm like this like skinny little dork. But I got in the band because I just produced a record for them, and they had just like parted ways with the drummer, and I knew all the new songs. So they're like, yeah, jump on this tour. But the other dudes in the band are all like big, burly, like throat tattooed, like tough guys. And even they were sketched out by this goon who was showing us around in Russia. They were like, "Whoa, that guy is."
Were they all rocking the Adidas outfits?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, it's gangster. That's too funny,
yeah.
man. Well, I believe we have Trevor, who is one of the employees at Audioscape. If you don't mind, I think we're going to go grab him for our Would You Rather segment, if you're up for that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
Right, cool.
Chili sauce. Give me 1 second. Let me go grab him.
All right.
Yeah. So I guess we're going to be doing some Would You Rather questions. And
cool.
Some of them will probably have to relate to music. Some of them probably not so much relating to music.
All right.
I don't know which ones you want to get through first, because we can go off the walls.
Let's get weird.
Let's get weird?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, fine. All right, so one of these ones I came up with the other night, and I said to Justin, so I'm going to just ask you right off the bat. Would you rather fight a dad with new dad energy, or a dad that's going through divorced energy?
Ooh. And I'm guessing it's a bitter divorce, I'm guessing.
Well, yeah. Well, also keep in mind he just found out that the person that he's getting a divorce from has a new guy named Gary, and Gary's picking the kids up from school now. So I just emphasize on that.
I think that I'd rather fight the recent divorcee in that case, because my hope would be that his spirits would be so crushed that he would just have no energy to fight. And I think new dad energy is like a little bit more protective and more kind of aggressive. And there's a potential, at least with recent divorced dad, to just feel already defeated.
All right. Would you rather the Beatles to have never existed, or Led Zeppelin to never existed? You
It's
have to
actually
get rid of one.
super easy. Super easy.
Really?
It would be the Beatles. And the reason why is because basically Jeff Emmerich invented every awesome recording technique that I wish I had invented. And he did it all over the course of like 2 or 3 Beatles records.
Mm-hmm.
And had the Beatles not existed, there's a pretty good chance, not a pretty good chance, there's a marginally better chance that maybe I could have invented a cool new recording technique. And therefore, I choose the Beatles.
That's it's actually pretty funny. The Beatles seems to, like, every time I ask that question, the Beatles are everybody's like go to, like, yeah, get rid of them. Like I'm fine without them. I would say the same thing because Led Zeppelin. I don't know. There's just too much good. I don't know. You can't.
I'll say this though about Zeppelin. There's a lot of really. There's more bad Led Zeppelin than there is bad Beatles, in my opinion.
All right, let's see. Would you rather listen to Justin Bieber for 24 hours straight or Nicki Minaj for 24 hours straight?
Definitely Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj?
Yeah, and I say that maybe mostly out of ignorance because I actually don't know that much Nicki Minaj music, so I don't hate it as much as Justin Bieber's.
Doesn't she make weird noises? Isn't she all like? I'm sorry, that was like I can't do what she does. I don't know. Does I think
sounds like an early '90s Florida death metal record.
Oh well, welcome down to Florida. You don't even have to answer it. But would you rather SSL never exists or Neve never exists?
SSL easily, hands down. Don't even have to think twice about that. That's the easiest question you could have possibly asked.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, like,
yeah.
I always thought like maybe if because I don't know, I know they're both highly regarded, so I figured, and also you don't want to talk bad about one in case like you use them or something. I don't know. I
mean, I use both. I got 4 SSL EQs sitting right next to me, and I got a bunch of Neve crap at my actual studio, so. I use it all, but I think the contributions that Neve made to audio are like so profound, and also the sound of records. Like I think that there's much more of a sonic, like Neve the man and Neve the brand have done more for this to shape the sound of music as we know it than SSL has. Yeah, I'll try to make it quick. So I went to Berklee College of Music, and my last semester of school got hired by a studio to engineer part-time. So I was over there a lot, and in particular when I had school projects, I would just like wait till after hours, and if I couldn't get studio time at school, I could do them at the studio I was working at. So I was there really late one night, and had locked the door to the control room because in our B room there was this producer who was like pretty infamous for being on drugs and would just kind of like crash into my sessions all the time. And I got sick of him crashing. So I was locking the door so he wouldn't just barge in. And all the sessions for the night finished up. I did my schoolwork for a couple hours and then was getting ready to leave. And I was kind of cleaning up a little bit. And the deadbolt on the control room door started jiggling around. And the studio I used to work at was pretty sketchy. So we used to get robbed a couple times a year. Like people would break in and like rob the place at gunpoint. And this had yet to happen to me. So I was like, but I've been hearing how it would basically, the people that own the place, like, eventually you're just going to get robbed. Just deal with it. I'm like, all right, great.
Oh, great.
So I was like, shit, this is it. This is the time where I get robbed. So I throw myself against the door, and you probably can't tell from the video, but I am a total wimp. So I'm really skinny. And I was like, when I was in college, I was like even scrawnier. So I'm throwing like, 125 pounds of myself against this door, like hoping that no one comes in. I've got we had this like sketchy ass shiv that we kept under the console. So I grabbed that thing and I'm like, am I going to stab? Like, what's going on? I'm freaking out, right? And the deadbolt's going and then it stops. And like my heart's going and everything. And I sit there for some length of time. And it's impossible to tell you if it was like seconds or minutes. It was just like, time was frozen when your adrenaline's like full bore like that. So anyway, I opened the door after some stretch of time and I like peek my head out into the hallway. It's pitch black. I'm walking all over the place. No one's around. And we had this door, the security system would keep a log of every time someone came or went, and no one had come or gone according to the door log. So I'm like, that was super weird. The next day, I was telling the owner of the place about it, assuming it was a security concern. I'm like, yeah, I think someone tried to break in last night. I told him what happened. And the head engineer at the studio super casually goes like, nah, man, that was probably just the studio ghost. And I was like, whatever, dude, that's haha, like really funny. Can we talk about how someone tried to break into the studio last night? And he's like, no, I'm serious. It was the ghost. And I was like, all right, whatever. So don't think much of it. Weeks or months or whatever it is go by, and I was doing another session, and there was this kid named Arthur who was working in the B room, who'd like recently, he'd been hired as an intern, and he had recently started engineering sessions there. And Arthur was like the super stylish kid. He would always wear like he had this like 70s, like he would wear like cool 70s like vintage sportswear. He had this like cool little afro. He was just like a very specific looking dude, right? And so he was working in the B room, and he finished up, and he popped over to be like, hey man, I'm taking off. Like, I'll see you later, whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool. So then I finished my session, and I'm in the office. At this point I'd been promoted. So I was like head engineer at this place, and I was like entering invoices into our computer, and the office had this window that looked out into the front hall. And I see Arthur walk by, but this is like 2 hours after he had said he was leaving. So I'm like, that's weird. I go down the hallway. I'm looking for him. He's not around. The next day I see him, and I'm like, Arthur, what were you doing back at the studio last night? And he's like, I wasn't at the studio. I'm like, I saw you. You were definitely at the studio. And the owner of the place goes, oh, you saw someone who looked like Arthur? I was like, yeah. And he's like, that was the ghost. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, when we hired Arthur, we were cracking up about how much he looks like the studio ghost. You just saw the studio. And I'm like, super casual. Here's one last little thing about the ghost story that's kind of fun is the studio that all took place is no longer a studio. However, Berklee College of Music bought that building and turned it into the department office for their like music production major department, which I will be starting a new job at there next week. So in a weird way, I've come full circle. I am going to be back in that same space where the ghosts were once lurking about, except for now it's not a studio, it's office space.
Well, you gotta let us know if they saged it.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking forward to asking the faculty who have been there a while, like, so have you guys noticed anything strange?
Yeah.
Like, have you seen like a cool hip 70s sportswear dude like wandering the halls at any point?
They'll be like, just our students, because
yeah, I know.
Because everything comes full circle.
Yeah.
I mean, you're back.
That's true. Yeah, I don't look cool. I'm not fashionable.
Oh, you're fine, Benny. You're doing good, man.
Shucks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm gonna let Chris take it over from here, though. But thank you very much, Benny, for letting us.
No, we just want to thank you, Benny, for hanging out with us. And thank you so much for doing the video.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Justin was telling me, he's like, yo, Benny's doing a video. And I'm like, what? And it's, I think you were saying it's coming out next Friday. I think
yep.
What we'll do is we'll put it on the product page as well, because I think it's an excellent resource for anyone.
It's a long one, just to warn your listeners. I'm not like a whiz bang. I'm not like a content guy, so it's for serious listening and watching, it's a little bit of an investment, but I think it's a worthwhile one.
Exactly. And I think if someone's looking to invest in the 305R, it's an excellent resource, and it's a very well done professional video. And as far as like what you go into is what professional engineers are looking for. And I mean, even a lot of people that, are on the fence about this reverb, they're like, how's it compared to a plate? That's like the question they ask. So the fact that you just cut right to the chase with that video, it's perfect. So
great. Awesome. I am glad to be of service. It's fun to make too. Like I said, I went into it thinking it was going to be something I'd spend 15 or 20 minutes on. And, 45 minutes later, I was trying to figure out how to edit it down and going like, you can't really edit this. The whole thing, it's a long listening exercise. So it's divided into chapters though. When I put it up on YouTube, it'll be divided into chapters. See, it's not like you can you won't have to watch the whole thing all at once per se, or you can skip to the part you want to see, or whatever it is you got to do to consume it. But it definitely got away from me a little bit. But I'm really happy with the way it came out.
Yeah, I had a blast watching it earlier today.
Cool.
So once again, congrats. Like
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Penny.
I still need to watch it. I haven't watched it.
Oh, we'll watch it.
Well,
you'll be on
long. Put aside some time and
we'll turn it on Monday when you're in the
cozy.
shop.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So I'm gonna watch it Monday.
Awesome.
And this comes out, I don't know, after. So I would have great job on it. Loved it.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah, the response has been terrific so far. We're really happy with how people are responding to it.
Yes.